All right, we welcome you back for game number 2 of our doubleheader here on this late Wednesday night. Chemeketa and Mount Hood, part number 2. It's the men. And we welcome you inside the Yoshida Event Center alongside Jake Rowe. I'm Jack Scanlon. Jake, good to be with you tonight.
Good to be with you.
What are you looking forward to most in this game?
Well, I'm always excited to watch Will Wilson play, put up some numbers.
He does lead the conference in scoring, and we'll see what he can do tonight. Looks like we're going to get the starting 5, but first we get our officials led by Crew Chief Heath Powell and umpires Travis Garrison and Jack Hackman. Starting 5 for Chemeketa will be number 3, Jaden Stanley, number 13, Zane Bernard, number 20, Kieran Pruitt, number 23, Austin Sladek, number 30, Ashton Rose. And for the Saints, it'll be number 1, Will Wilson, Jake's favorite, number 3, Cameron Vaughn, number 4, Wayne Hampton, number 11, Nick Fowler, and number 24, William Chen. 10 guys that we're looking forward to seeing at the start of this game.
I'm looking forward to see Gabe Swanson come off the bench as well. He was absolutely electric the last time I watched him play. I actually expect Mount Hood to come out with a victory here. Chemeketa is not the strongest team, losing the last 4 in a row, last 5 of 6. And the Saints have won the last 3 of 5 of their opponents, and all by 3 points. I expect this one to be a close, exciting win for Mount Hood Saints.
And we go back to January 11th. Chemeketa actually beat Mount Hood 82-62 in their first matchup.
That could be different tonight as Mount Hood is heating up late in the season.
So it looks like it will be Austin Sladek for the Storm to take the tip ball against, I believe it will be Nick Fowler for the Saints. So they will get the honor of jumping the ball as our official is ready. And we are just about underway here in game number 2 between the Storm and the Saints as the ball is tipped, and it's going to be tipped right into the hands of Cameron Vaughn, and he gets it over to Hampton. Hampton waiting at the logo, now dribbles, and now goes over to the right side. Now backs up, looks for room, gets it over to Vaughn. Vaughn moving to that left wing. Vaughn steps, gets it to Wilson. Wilson at the top of the circle, backs up. Wilson maybe looking for a passing lane. He's going to go to the inside. He's going to go to Vaughn. Vaughn underneath the basket, gets it out. Here's Hampton, fake the 3, got it out. Chen, here's a 3, starting the game off with a miss. Rebounded by Bernard, and Bernard is going to get it to Pruitt. Here's Bernard for 3. It's good! And the Storm start out with a 3-0 lead. Now here's Hampton. Hampton on the right wing gets it to Wilson. Wilson dribbles inside the lane, now kicks out, floats a jumper, and connects. It was rimming around, but finally drops, and the Saints back to within 1. So here comes Jaden Stanley now for the Storm. A little bit of a faster start here than the women's game. Here's Stanley, now passes it out, gets it to Sladek. Sladek inside the lane. Now it is Rose. Rose dribbles. A pass is stolen by Wilson. Wilson now gets it back. He's going to take it himself, take it to the hoop, and he puts it off no good, and the rebound is to Chemeketa. Here comes Stanley, and now Wilson almost tipped it away, and now here comes Sladek inside the, gets it to the outside. Here's a 3, off the rim, no good, which was attempted by Stanley. Now here's Hampton bringing it up for the Saints. Hampton inside. Hampton takes it himself, puts it off no good, and we got a foul call against Chemeketa.
I'd look to go to Hampton more. He's a great, terrific slasher. As you can see, he drew the foul there. He's also a terrific three-point shooter, shooting 41% on the year. So I'd expect to see him shoot a few shots as well from deep.
So here's Hampton's first free throw on the way. And that one is good.
No rotation on that jumper. It's interesting, but it works.
So substitution time. Dominic Ball now going to be coming in for Ashton Rose.
Boy, is he tall.
So here's Hampton's second free throw on its way. And that one gives Mount Hood the lead. So it's 4-3 here early in the first half. As now the inbound pass is going to be collected by Bernard. Brings it across the timeline on the left side. Bernard dribbling between his legs. Gets it across. Now here's Stanley. Stanley moves to the inside. Pass out. Gets it across. Now it is Pruitt. Pruitt now passes it across. And somehow it ends up in the hands of Sladek. And can't tell what's going on. The official's in my way. Here's a turnaround shot. No good. Intercepted by Wilson. Wilson now gets it over to Hampton. Hampton steps. Now looks. Here's Chen. Fakes a three. Gets it back to Hampton. Hampton on that left wing. Heavily guarded. Now moves to the inside. Puts up a two. And he put it in.
Smooth roll there.
So now here is Stanley bringing it back out. Saints up by 3. 6-3. 17 and a half to go here in half number 1. Stanley on the right wing. Gets it in now to Dominic Ball. And Ball gets it across now to Pruitt. Pruitt at the top of the key. Gets it back to Ball. Ball puts up a shot and he puts it in.
Chemeketa running their offense through Ball there.
Now here's Vaughn collecting the impound pass from Wilson over to Hampton. Now over to Fowler. Fowler puts up a 2. It was tipped and picked. And now here comes Chemeketa the other way. Here is Stanley crossing the timeline. Stanley with ball to his right. Pushing the team forward. Gets it across now to Sladek. Sladek now gets it across now to Pruitt. Pruitt gets it now. Here's Stanley a 3. It's good. Nothing but net from Stanley. And now Chemeketa up by 2. Here's Wilson. Wilson on the right wing. Coach Lewell giving him some words. Gets it over to Fowler. Fowler inside the key. Puts up a 2 and he puts it in. So now here comes Chemeketa back the other way. Now here is Pruitt. Gets it back over to Stanley. Stanley crosses the midcourt line. Guarded by Hampton. Now gets it across to Bernard. Bernard gets it to Ball. Ball gets it back to Stanley. Here comes Stanley again. He's got Pruitt. Passes it over. Pruitt's going to take a 3. And he's going to hit it off the back iron. It's going to be taken away by Fowler. And Fowler will get it over to Vaughn. Vaughn now at the right wing. Backs up, looking for space. Has Fowler get it to him at the top of the key. Fowler looking, gets it to Vaughn. Or gets it to Hampton, excuse me. Hampton now thought about a 2, no good. And now gets it back over to Vaughn. Vaughn looking for a passing lane. Going to get inside. Kicks it over for 3. It's good!
To be expected.
Hampton with a 3 ball, and the Saints are up by 3. So here comes Chemeketa once again. And now a pass is tipped back into the hands of Stanley. Gets it over to Ball. Ball waiting on the right side of the key. Gets it over to Stanley. Stanley now dribbles to the free throw line. Puts up a jumper. Puts it off no good. And it's taken away by Will Wilson. Gets it now. Is Hampton gets it across. Here's Vaughn. Lays it in and had no trouble doing so. Now here come the Storm once more as Stanley crossing the timeline. Gets it across now to Bernard. Bernard on the right side, gets it across now to Sladek. Sladek puts up a shot, intercepted by Fowler, and he gets it over to Hampton. Hampton across, Chen to Wilson for 3. Oh, it's good! Will Wilson connecting on a 3 ball, and the Saints have doubled the lead. It's 16-8.
That's what we like to see from Will Wilson, leading the team with a 3 there. They're now up 8.
Leading the conference in scoring and puts down his first triple of the night.
Hopefully first of many.
So 15:02 to go here in the first half, and Mount Hood has an 8-point lead. They've doubled Chemeketa 16-8. So far off to a fast pace here in the first half, Jake, and that's what we like to see with this men's basketball.
Yeah, they're looking pretty evenly matched. The last couple possessions, Mount Hood has looked really explosive. Chemeketa not quite as explosive, but getting open looks. I'm excited. This is looking really like a fun game here.
Media timeout here with just over 15 minutes to go. Both coaches have the whiteboards out. Looks like Chemeketa is going to end their huddle a little bit earlier than Mount Hood, but as the referees will now signal both teams back to the floor, it will be Chemeketa ball after the Will Wilson 3. And they started off hot, Jake. They got the first points of the game, and now they find themselves down 8.
Yeah, a couple exciting baskets for Mount Hood. A fadeaway from Fowler, a deep 3 from Wilson. Hampton with a nice finger roll layup. And Vaughn as well with a slashing shot. This team is looking like they're running on full steam here. Something's folded up. The play.
That doesn't seem like much, as now Stanley will get it in, and now it's back to Stanley from Bernard. Stanley crosses the timeline and now moves quickly. Gets it across. So behind the back pass. Here's a 3. On the way, no good. It was attempted by Chaz Storm. And now Will Wilson with the ball. Gets it back across to Hampton. Hampton on the left wing. Has space. looking. Wilson gives him a block. Hampton gets it across. Pass intercepted by Chemeketa. And here they come the other way. And now a foul is going to be called. And that foul is going to go against Hampton.
Gabe Sorensen checking in here. Another one of my favorite players, can really shoot it. He's versatile. He's tall, but can also play as a guard.
Looks like he's coming in for Fowler. As Fowler checked out of the game, and now here's Stanley bringing it up the floor, gets it across to Bernard, and Bernard gets it over to Sladek. Or sorry, that was Pruitt. Back over to Stanley, and now we got a whistle, and now we got a foul on the other end.
Wow, well, that looked like a football play there.
I don't exactly know what happened there. Kind of caught our attention. Looks like Chemeketa player down on the floor.
Looked like a strong screen, and they were not looking. Is that Pruitt?
Yeah, that's Kieran Pruitt.
Hopefully he's all right.
So now we're going to get a timeout here. Very confusing sequence, Jake. I don't exactly know what's happening here.
Well, the coaches are talking. The refs are talking. Players are with their coaches on the sideline. They must be looking for the foul, or we'll see here in a second.
Basketball is just sitting there on the end line. Officials don't even have handle on the basketball. They were in a discussion. Now one of them is going back over to the basketball. Two of them still discussing, and now we're going to get word. Now we're going to get a public address announcement.
A common foul.
Common foul on Mountain. Official review for potential upgrade.
A potential upgrade on the foul. Possibly a bit aggressive. I'm not sure what they're looking at.
I didn't see exactly how Pruitt went down, but is there a possible ejection coming here?
Yeah, it was kind of away from the main action of the play, so I'm curious to see what they decide.
Officials discussing once again. I mean, that's not something we can.
Officials going to look at a video.
We're going to look at the huddle feed from here.
The video feed here, they're going to review the play. This is interesting.
So that occurred on the left side near us. It was Kieran Pruitt for the Storm who went down. I didn't see who fouled him, but it seemed like they called it on number 3, which is that's Cameron Vaughn.
It wouldn't be a screen because they were on defense, so he must have been in the way of a cut or something.
I'm not quite sure what's going on here, but that's why I have you.
Trying to decide whether it's flagrant here.
And flagrant would warrant an ejection, wouldn't it?
Yeah, this could be a big call here. Vaughn,
who's a pretty good shooter.
Yeah, an impactful player for sure.
They'd lose him for this game, and I don't know if an ejection carries over to the next game.
I believe a flagrant 2 would, but I'm not sure about a flagrant 1.
It didn't seem like anything bad, but then again, we didn't really see much of it. Still 14-24 to go here in the first half.
To me, it looked a bit accidental, but the refs are taking this very seriously.
This is the first time we've seen a review.
Common foul on White 3, so that is a common foul on Vaughn. That is good news for the Saints. A bit interesting here as they took a lot of time to decide that.
I still really don't understand what happened, and I don't really.
It is unclear. It is unclear.
I really don't know what they were talking about, but who cares? It will be Chemeketa ball, as it will be Bernard to inbound it, gets it over to Ball. And Ball on that left side gets it over to Stanley. Stanley gets it across now as Bernard. Back over to Stanley. Stanley moves to the inside and puts up a shot. And he put it in with a foul.
A beautiful play there.
So a chance for a 3-point play for Chemeketa, which would tie the game. Foul's going to be on number 10.
I believe it's actually a 6-point game, but we'll bring them within 5.
Oh, yeah, I did not see that. The scoreboard on my end is kind of blocked, so thank you for the correction. Free throw is no good. It's taken by Will Wilson. And Wilson will get it over to Hampton. Hampton now crosses the timeline, gets it over to Vaughn, who is in fact still in the game, was not ejected. So here's Wilson. Wilson on that left side gets it over to Hampton. Hampton on the right wing gets it over to Vaughn. Vaughn back to Hampton, 12 on the shot clock. A lot of yelling here in the Yoshida Event Center. Here is Hampton on the right side. Ball goes out of play, and it retains to Mount Hood. And a timeout going to be taken by Coach Lewell. With 13:49 to go here in the first half and 6 seconds remaining on the shot clock.
Looks like the coach of Mount Hood is frustrated with the offensive possession there, not getting into the set and not reading the defense correctly. He's a bit frustrated.
So 16-10 is the Mount Hood lead. Gotten a lot of quick points here so far, Jake, including a 3 from Will Wilson, his first, and most definitely not his last of tonight.
Yeah, he'll be shooting a lot. He came off the bench last game versus Lynn Benton, but put up 18 shots nonetheless and scored 22 points, 8 of them coming from the free throw line. Missing all of his downtown shots, which is very uncharacteristic from him.
So out of the timeout now, it will be Mount Hood ball, and it looks like it will be Hampton to inbound on that right side, near side. And he will be guarded by Stanley. Now the official holding out for a second. A couple of delays to start this game. We've only played about 6 minutes of it. So here is Hampton. He will get it in, and he gets it into Wilson. Wilson going to take a 3 right side. Oh, it's good! It rang around the rim, but finally fell, and the Saints lead it by 9. Here comes Stanley the other way. Stanley to the top of the key, gets it over to Bernard. Bernard gets it over. Now is Pruitt over to Ball for 3. That one no good, taken away by the Saints. And now it's going to be taken off the floor by Wilson. Wilson gets it over to Sorensen. Sorensen a pass out in front. Here's a 2 from Wilson. That one no good, tipped out in front and intercepted by the Storm. Now here comes Stanley. Stanley on the left wing, lost his footing, but able to get it back to Bernard. And Bernard on the logo, guarded by Wilson. Gets it over now is Pruitt. Pruitt passes it over to Ball. Ball gets it across now. Here's Bernard. Bernard, step back. Thought about a 3, didn't take it. Moves inside the key. Floats a jumper and puts it in. That's the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar skyhook shot. As now that puts him back within 7. Wilson passes it back out in front. Sorensen tried to collect the pass and cannot, and it's intercepted by the Storm. So here comes Stanley. Stanley gets it across now, and here is Sladak, and a 3 is attempted. It's good! A 3-pointer there from Stanley makes this a 4-point game. So here comes Hampton crossing the timeline. Looks like Nick Fowler going to come back into the game. So here is Wilson on the left wing. Wilson going to put up a shot, and he was fouled. So Fowler now going to sub in. So the foul is going to be called on Pruitt. And no substitution just yet. And it looks like it might be Hampton that is going to be coming out of the game. Nick Fowler going to be the one coming in as Wilson makes the first free throw. And now substitution time. So it'll be both Fowler and Vaughn to come into the game. And it looks like Hampton and Sorensen are going to be the ones coming out. 12-19 to go here in the first half. And a 5-point Mount Hood lead with an extra free throw coming down for Will Wilson. He puts it down, and it's back to a 6-point game, 21-15, with just over 12 minutes to go. And now here comes Stanley for the Storm. Now he's going to be guarded. Stanley gets it over to Bernard. Bernard handles it with one hand, now gets it over to the right side. Here's Bernard, gets it over to Ball. Ball inside the key, looking for a pass, puts up the jumper. Weird form, but he can't put it in, and it's intercepted by Will Wilson. Wilson back up the floor. Here's Wilson top of the key. Gets it over. Here's Pat Robinson. Short pass out in front of Fowler. Fowler inside the lane, puts up a shot, no good. Tries to collect his own rebound, he cannot, and Stanley's got it. Here comes Chemeketa the other way. Stanley over to Bernard. Bernard across. Here is Sladak. Sladak was fouled, and he will go to the line. And the foul there is going to be called on Fowler. And Jake, it's your favorite term. It's a Fowler foul.
That is my favorite term.
And now that will send Sladek to the line.
Looks like Stanley versus Wilson tonight will be the offensive matchup for both teams. Stanley averaging 20 on the season, while Wilson averaging 27.
Sladek puts down the first free throw, and it's back to a 5-point game with 11:40 to go. Sladek with a second free throw on its way, and that one is good as well. He made them both, and it's a 4-point game. 21-17 Mount Hood. Here's Wilson. Wilson gets it over to Vaughn. Vaughn now dribbles inside the lane, gets it back out. Across now, here's Pat Robinson. Pat Robinson on the left side gets it over to Fowler. Fowler spins. He's going to put up a shot here. He's going to get it back out and cross. Here's a 3 attempt on the way. Off the rim, no good. It was attempted by Stevens. And now here's Chemeketa the other way, as here's Stanley. Stanley on the right side. Now dribbling inside. Got a block from Ball. Stanley against Fowler. Across, and Ball gets it as it was almost intercepted. Here's a wide open 3 from Pruitt. It's good. Pruitt puts down the 3, and it's a 1-point game. Here's Vaughn inside. Gets it across now. Back out Robinson. Robinson looking, gets it over to Stevens. Stevens now pushing his team forward, gets it over to Fowler, collects the high pass, and a quick pass from Vaughn. Puts it in and 1. Fowler gets fouled, but not before the 2-hand layup. And a chance for a 3-point play to put the Saints up by 4. And Cam Vaughn's free throw percentage on the year, what do we got, Jake?
Cameron Vaughn is shooting 65% on the season, so just about average for a community college guard.
See if he can convert the 3-point play here with a 3-point lead. Free throw on its way, and it's good.
Really nice form there.
So 24-20 now, Mount Hood, just about halfway through this first half. So here comes Stanley back up the line now for the Storm. Gets it across now to Sladek. Sladek, it's tipped and almost intercepted, but Chemeketa able to retain possession. It goes out of bounds, and possession of Mount Hood.
Really good defensive possession there for the Saints. They're looking for every steal. They are putting the pressure on Chemeketa.
So here is Stevens. He gets it into Hampton. Hampton now crosses the timeline, but not before he passes it to Stevens, and not before he gets it back over to Hampton. Hampton on that right side. Guarded against Stanley. Now gets a block. Here's Vaughn, and now it's Hampton again. Hampton gets it across now, and it looks like it's going to be Barber. Barber on the right side gets it back over to Hampton. Hampton inside. Hampton going to try to put up a shot. No good. Rebound out to Vaughn. Over to Hampton. Hampton, here's a 3. No good. And didn't attempt 1 on the shot clock. Puts up a shot. No good. And it's rebounded by the Storm. And now here comes Stanley as he got it from Pruitt. Stanley now inside. Stanley backs out. Gets it across now to Ball. Mishandled pass going to be rehandled by Stanley. Stanley now on the left side. Stanley gets it across now, and here's Bernard. Bernard on the left wing, pushing his teammates out in front. It's tipped, and it's intercepted, and here come the Saints. Here's Stevens. Pass was tipped, and it's intercepted again by the Storm, and here comes Bernard. Bernard against, and now here's a 3 from Sladek. It's good! Sladek with a 3, and we're back to within 1. And now a trip. Foul is going to be called against Chemeketa. So Mount Hood going to retain possession. And the foul is going to be called against Pruitt. And we have another media timeout with 9:27 to go here in the first half. And Mount Hood leading Chemeketa 24-23. A close game so far, Jake.
Very close game. I'm loving the competitive nature from both teams. Stanley helping Chemeketa stay in this game, being the calming factor for them. Mount Hood looking a little bit flustered here, but staying hot on defense, getting a lot of steals, forcing a lot of turnovers. Chemeketa needs to get good looks in order to take the lead here, and Mount Hood needs to continue their pressure in order to maintain this lead.
We'll take a look at the standings at halftime to see where these two teams are ranked, but just a reminder that Chemeketa 6-13 overall, 3-6 conference play is for the Saints. They're 5-14, so they're just a game back. They're 4-5 in conference play. Saints coming off a huge win against Len Benton on Saturday, in which they should have had a home and home, but because of this facility, they had to play Len Benton on the road twice. So really important that they split the series with the Roadrunners, and hopefully they can carry that momentum, because again, like you said, Jake, at the beginning of the game, Mount Hood has won 3 of their last 5, all by 3 points.
very close games. They're used to it. They're used to the heat of the battle. That can be good when it comes towards the end of the year, but you really want to start winning some games by a bigger margin.
So here come the Saints as Vaughn will inbound it, and it'll be Hampton to collect. Hampton moves to the left wing, backs up, gets some space, has Wilson on that right side. What's Hampton going to do? He's going to throw it to Vaughn. Vaughn motions Wilson to come over. He gets it over to Wilson at the logo. Gets it across now to Barber. Barber going to take a jumper from the free throw line, and he's going to miss it, and the rebound is the ball. Gets it over to Stanley. Stanley with a long pass. Cannot be handled, and possession is turned over.
A good idea there, but just a bit long, and the execution was not there.
And that was Ashton Rose who couldn't make the catch, and possession will be back to the Saints as it looks like Will Wilson is going to be the one to inbound it to Cam Vaughn, maybe. Or no, he gets it into Hampton. He had Vaughn on the left, but he gets it into Hampton on the right. And here comes Hampton. Hampton with a long pass over to Vaughn across the court. Here's Vaughn, dribbles to the free throw line. Now gets it back out top of the key. Now Wilson will hold. Coach motioning his team. Wilson gets the ball again from Hampton, gets it over to Vaughn, back over to Wilson. Wilson now moves to the inside. Wilson to the lane, gets it across. Barber with a pass. He was able to collect it. Back over Wilson. And now Wilson with 3 seconds on the shot clock takes a three off the iron. No, it was collected, tipped, back into the hands of Vaughn. Fresh 20 to shoot. 8.5 to go here in the first half. Here's Vaughn at the top of the key. Vaughn has a block from Fowler. Vaughn going to move inside. Vaughn going to put up a shot. It's blocked. And no goaltending on that one. It looked like it had hit the backboard. So here's Stanley on the right side. Back again now. Here is Rose at 2, and that one's good. And Chemeketa with the lead.
An easy shot for them there.
Here's Wilson. And Wilson across on that right side gets it back over to Vaughn. Almost a backcourt violation as Vaughn or Hampton barely crossed the free throw line. Here's a three from Vaughn, and it's good.
Wow, that was a deep one.
Cameron Vaughn with a three and puts the Saints back in front by 2. So here comes Stanley as he crosses the timeline, looks for someone to pass to. He's going to spin and he's going to go to the right side. He's going to pass it back out to Ball. Ball, a quick pass out to Bernard. Bernard, a jumper, is good. We are tied at 27 now with 7.5 minutes to go here in half number 1. Here is Vaughn. Vaughn now on the left. Back over now is Hampton. Hampton with Stanley on him, gets it back over to Vaughn, back over to Hampton, gets it over to Wilson. Wilson over to Hampton. Hampton now at the top of the circle, gets a block from Fowler. Thought about a three. Here's a three from Fowler. Got it!
Fowler with this knife.
Nick Fowler with his first triple of the night, and it's a 3-point Saint lead, 30-27 with 7:06 to go. So here come this Storm. Stanley gets it over to Bernard. Bernard gets it back over to Ball. Ball now holding, gets it back over to Stanley. Stanley at the top of the circle, has Wilson on him. Stanley now gets space, now moves over, gets a block from Ball, floats a jumper. That one no good. Ball the rebound, and he puts it in. Wilson with a quick inbound to Vaughn. Vaughn over to the right side. Vaughn going to step back, gets it to Wilson. Wilson holds at the top at the logo, gets it over to Hampton. Hampton now holds and gets it to Vaughn. Looks like we're going to get some substitutions here at the next whistle. So now here's Hampton. Hampton to the inside, now gets it over to Fowler. Back over to Vaughn. Vaughn to Fowler, mishandled the pass, but he's able to get it back over to Hampton. A deep three is no good and collected by Ball. So now here comes Stanley, crossing the timeline. Chemeketa down by 1. And here comes Stanley into the lane, puts up a shot, it's blocked. And just like it at the other end, Wilson with a long pass, and that one's going to go off of Mount Hood and back to Chemeketa. It did seem like for a second maybe it hit the foot of Slidak, but it indeed did not. And Chemeketa going to get possession. So it looks like Chen is going to come into the game, and so is Robinson. And it looks like Vaughn and maybe, I think that's Stevens maybe coming out of the game. So here's Stanley now on the left side. Gets it over to Ball. Ball at the top of the key, gets it over to Bernard. Bernard gets it back over to Sladek. Sladek on that right side, gets it across Stanley, who was held for a minute, puts it up, puts it in, and Chemeketa with the lead. 31-30 with 5:42 to go. Inbound from Robinson to Hampton, and Hampton will cross the timeline. Hampton waits on the logo and now looks for a pass. He gets it over to Wilson. Wilson on that left edge. Wilson floats a 2 and can't put it in, but Fowler collects the rebound. Fowler now underneath the basket, inside the lane, puts up the shot, gets blocked, but it goes right back into the hands of Fowler and gets it to Wilson. Wilson now holds, 10 to shoot. Here comes Wilson inside the lane, tries to put up the shot, and it's tipped and out of play. And it's off Chemeketa. Mount Hood going to retain possession, but Jake, they only have 5 seconds left to shoot.
Ball looking like he needs a break here. Not able to catch his breath. He's getting a sub.
So now it'll be Hampton to inbound from underneath the basket on that right side. Looks to get it in, and it's going to be a long pass out. It's tipped and intercepted, and on the breakaway comes Stanley. He's going to lay it up and in. Disaster for the Saints as a long inbound turned into 2 points for Chemeketa, and they're up by 3.
Stanley wanted to foul on that layup.
So here comes Wilson again. Wilson moves to the left side. He's got 2 defenders. Gets it back over to Hampton. Hampton's going to try a 3. This will tie it, and it's off the iron and out of play, and Chemeketa will take over. Now we have a whistle and a timeout with 4:44 to go. Looks like it's a media timeout. 4:44 to go and a 33-30 Chemeketa lead. So it's interesting to see how this game started. It started with a lot of points and started with Mount Hood going off on a little run, but since then the Chemeketa Storm have made this a close game, and right now they hold a 3-point lead. Again, earlier tonight, the Mount Hood women fell to the Chemeketa women by a final score of 50-44. That was also a close game, but Mount Hood losing 6 in a row. Hopefully we go 1 for 2 tonight here in Gresham as the men find themselves down by 3, with just 4:44 to go until half. And Jake, this has been a tightly contested affair. There's been a lot of different things, including that one sequence which we didn't really understand what was happening, but it was just called a common foul and ended up being a review.
I'm loving it. It's great for entertainment, and I love the drama, so let's keep it going. 3-point game here. Saints been in control for most of the game, but slipping up here in the last couple minutes.
So now Stanley will get the inbound pass from Bernard. Clock counting, 4:40 to go here in the first half. So here is Ball, moves inside the lane, gets it back out Stanley. Stanley thought about a 3, but Wilson came up on him very quickly. Back over comes Stanley. Here is Stanley on the right side, looking for somebody. He's got Ball, gets it to Ball. And now Ball's got somebody open, but he's going to take the jumper. It's no good, and it's intercepted by Sorensen, who gets it over to Hampton. Hampton with a long pass out to Wilson. Wilson's got 2 defenders. Long pass over to Sorensen. Sorensen with a fake. He's going to take a 3, and he's going to hit it off the back iron. It's going to be rebounded by Wilson. He's going to put it back up and in.
Hustle play there from Wilson.
How about that from Will Wilson? And it's a 1-point game. So here comes Stanley now for the Storm. Stanley with a pass out to Ball. Ball with the defender, moves the ball, gets it back over to Stanley. Stanley backs up to the logo. Motions his man. That's going to be Storm. And here comes Stanley again, gets it over to Sladek. Sladek over to Bernard for 3. It's off the iron, no good, and the rebound is to Wilson. Looks like Sorensen and Wilson simultaneously caught that one, but Sorensen let Wilson got it. So here's Wilson inside the lane, puts it back out. Here's a 3 from Hampton. Off the iron, no good. Got it by Pat Robinson, who puts it back up and in. Saints by 1 with 3:20 to go. It's 34-33. So here comes Stanley, gets it over to Bernard, and Bernard gets it across. Now here comes Rose. Rose who will get it to Bernard. Bernard across, back to Sladek. Sladek over to Bernard. Bernard moves to the inside, gets it across. Now here's Sladek. Sladek over to Bernard, gets it back over to Stanley. Stanley at the free throw line, jumper off, no good. Tipped and into the hands of Wilson. Wilson now brings it across, and here's Wilson on the right side. Waiting, now passes it across. Now is Hampton, and now gets it across. Here's a 3 from Robinson off the iron, and now a whistle, and we got a foul. And looks like the foul is going to be against Chemeketa. So it'll be Mount Hood basketball, and the foul there was going to be called on Sladek for a block.
Mount Hood subbing in Vaughn for Hampton here. Similar players, love to go inside and score, but can also shoot from the outside.
I guess maybe that was a pick play, which you can't really do. So here is Vaughn underneath the basket. He's got Wilson on the outside. He's going to lob it to Wilson, and Wilson's going to get control. He's going to get it across now to Vaughn. Vaughn over to Sorensen for three. Off the iron, tipped out. Robinson's got the rebound. Back over to Vaughn. Over to Wilson. He will hold. 18 to shoot. Back now is Robinson. Robinson inside. Now steps back. Gets it across. Here's Wilson. Jumper. Good! Will Wilson with another jumper, and the Saints lead by 3. So here comes Stanley back up the court. Stanley now waiting on the logo. Now moves across to that right side. Hands it off to Bernard. Bernard at the top of the circle. Points to his man. Gets it across now. Here's Evans. Evans with a pass out. Now it's Ball. Backs into the game. Now Evans again. Got a block. Gets it over to Stanley. Stanley moves now. Has a three. And it's off the iron. Taken by Wilson. And Wilson will bring it back up the floor for the Saints with 106 seconds to go here in the first half. Here's Cameron Vaughn. We got a whistle, and a travel is called as Wilson made the three, but it doesn't matter.
Unfortunate sequence of events there for the Mount Hood Saints. Vaughn almost got that first step, but called him on the travel.
So here is Stanley now. He gets it over to Bernard. Bernard runs to that right side, gets it over to Rose, gets it back over, and now here's Stanley again. Gets it over to Bernard, gets it back over to Rose. Over to Stanley. Stanley gets it inside to Rose, spins. Jumper is off no good and taken away by Wilson. Wilson's been that post man. He's gotten a lot of rebounds. Wilson gets it over to Sorensen for three. And bounces. And no, it did not. Oh, that one was just messing with us, Jake, but it wouldn't go. So back comes Bernard up the floor. And now Bernard on the left wing. Bernard through his legs. Whistle, and we're going to get another foul. And now the foul is going to be called on Chen. And it looks like it will be inbounding from right in front of us. It will be Alex Evans. And he gets it in to Stanley. And now Stanley will run across to that right side. Stanley at the top of the circle. Mount Hood substitution coming up. Here it is again. Gets it across now. Ball is fouled. So now we got another sub, and it's going to be number 23, who I don't have, or that is Carson. Sorry, that's Chantrell Carson. And the foul is going to be called on Vaughn. So now here's Rose, gets it to Ball. Ball inside the lane. Ball going to put up a shot, and he's going to put it in. Clock ticking, 42 seconds to go here in the first half. Mount Hood still up by 1 as Vaughn brings it up. Got a block from Sorensen. Vaughn moves across to that left side. Motions to his man. He's got Chantrell. Here's Vaughn, moves inside. Now passes it back out. Wilson got it with one hand. Wilson now moves. Wilson moves to the inside of the key, puts up a shot. It's short and rebounded by Chemeketa. Shot clock off with 17 to go. So here is Stanley. Crosses the timeline. They can hold out. Gets it across to Evans. Evans over to Rose. Rose out to Evans. Over to Stanley. 7 seconds to go. Stanley now waiting. 4 seconds. Down to 3. Stanley inside. Puts up the shot. Can't put it in. Rebound up. And that's it for half number 1. As Chemeketa could not convert and get points.
Stanley wanted that last second shot there, knowing he's the leading scorer. He thought he could take it, but tough shot there for him at the end of half.
So we have reached halftime here in our second game of the night, and it's the Saints with just a 1-point lead against the Storm. They lead at 36-35 with the second half on your way soon. And Jake, it's time to get your thoughts on the first half. What did you like?
You know, both teams coming out really strong. Mount Hood started off a bit hotter, but the visitor, Chemeketa, sticking it to him here at the end of the second. Going into the half with just a 1-point deficit. I think Chemeketa really just needs to keep doing what they're doing right now if they want to win in the second half. And Mount Hood really needs to just keep the pressure on. They have a tendency of not coming out so hot in the first half, but bringing it on in the second. I would expect them to bring it on in the second and close it out.
So both Mount Hood teams tonight led at the break. Unfortunately, it did not turn out so well for the women. They lost 50-44. Jake, What's the biggest thing for Mount Hood only being up by 1 going into the second half?
Only being up 1, they got to limit mistakes and make sure that they get a handful of good quality looks coming out to start to make sure that the momentum doesn't shift to Chemeketa.
And what's the biggest thing for Chemeketa to do in the second half?
Chemeketa needs to really not turn the ball over, as Mount Hood has really flustered them. Stanley being the only player on Chemeketa that seems to be confident and not flustered.
What are you looking forward to most in the second half?
Well, you saw Wilson was taking a lot of shots. Sorensen also took a lot of shots, but couldn't get a whole lot to fall. I would like to see Sorensen hit a few three-pointers. And also looking forward to seeing Jaden Stanley. I'm really enjoying watching him play number 3 for Chemeketa. Small, but it's not about the size of the dog. It's about the size of the heart in the dog.
Well, halftime here in the Yoshida Event Center. It is Mount Hood with a 36-35 lead. We will be back with you shortly for half number 2.
That's the girls' team. Maybe after the game, I'll have one. But I promise you, next time we go, next halftime we got, I'll make it before the halftime. How much money? Before you put that on, shake on something. Anything. Second. So you buy me tea. Buy me beer. Okay. Anytime. If I miss, I owe you. That's on your second try next time. No. I'll make 2 by then. By the end of halftime. I got the whole half. Absolutely. All right, let's go.
Well, if you didn't hear it, you heard it here first, folks. Jake Rowe is going to make a half-court shot by the time
Two
half-court shots by the time the next game that he joins me, that halftime, is over. Well, we have about 2.5 minutes to go here in the halftime break, just before we get set for the second half. And let's get Jake Rowe's keys for both teams, as we discussed just before we took the break. But in case you missed it, we're going to refresh your brain. Jake, what from the first half do both teams need to carry over to the second half?
So starting with Chemeketa, they finished very strong in the first half. All they need to do is continue to get the good looks and not be flustered. They've been flustered a lot. A lot of turnovers have been forced by the Saints. And in order for the Saints to continue to win this game, they need to keep pushing Chemeketa to the limit on defense.
What's the biggest thing that needs to improve for both teams in the second half?
So Chemeketa obviously needs to stop Mount Hood on defense. Their defense was poor, and Mount Hood wasn't even playing that well and was still able to get a lot of shots to fall. And in terms of Mount Hood, what they need to improve, they really just need to make more shots and take smarter shots.
What are you looking forward to most in these final 20 minutes?
I'm excited to see Stanley and Wilson go at it. Both the high-scoring players, 20-plus points a game. I'd like to see them take over for their teams here in the second half.
As Jake Rowe put it last game, Will Wilson was not performing very well. How did you put it? He was...
I don't know if I said that.
He was upset.
He was certainly wasn't happy with how he played last.
But he's hit a 3 in this game. He's had a couple of nice rebounds. He's been the main guy
Absolutely.
to get rebounds off Chemeketa. So it'll be interesting to see where they place him here in the second half.
He's been averaging 6 rebounds a game for the team, and that is second overall in the team as well. He's leading the team in assists and also leading the team in scoring. So he's just kind of do-it-all player for them.
One thing we forgot to do during this halftime break, but we'll do it before we end at the end of the game. We'll run down scores from other conference games. We've got a couple other games going on right now, but half number 2 is about to begin in 20 seconds. And I forgot to mention this earlier, special thanks to Jake for joining me tonight. He was, in fact, not fired after dropping an expletive on the last broadcast. So he had a hot mic moment, but you know what? Who cares? It's YouTube, so we'll bring him back.
I'm working on it. First broadcast last time. This is my second, so only room for improvement. Am I right?
Let's have a clean second half, Mr. Rowe.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Let's have some fun.
All right. So here we go. Chemeketa looks like they will inbound to start the second half. Final 20 minutes on this 8th night of February, as it looks like it will be Pruitt to handle the inbound. He's got Stanley right in front of him, and he gets it in Stanley, and we are underway with a final frame here in Gresham. Stanley brings it up the floor at the top of the key, gets it across. Now is Rose. And now it's tipped and intercepted by the Saints, and here's Wilson. Wilson with a pass out to Vaughn. Vaughn gets it to Wilson. Wilson going to take a 3. And he's going to hit it.
That's what we like to see.
Will Wilson starting his second off strong. He's got his second triple of the night, and Mount Hood's lead is 4. So here comes Chemeketa once again. Here's Pruitt. Pruitt got a block. Here's a three right side to rebut. No good. Tipped, and it's going to be a whistle. It looks like Mount Hood's going to get possession.
Like I said, both teams need to get good looks on offense. Chemeketa was getting good looks before. That was a good look, but didn't make it fall.
So Hampton now collects the inbound pass from Chen. Back out now is Vaughn. Vaughn gets it back to Chen, over to Vaughn on the right side. Vaughn with a layup, reverse, and he puts it in. So here is Stanley now as he brings it back up the floor. Stanley on that left side, looking for a lane. He's got Hampton on him, gets it over now is Rose. And now Rose gets it across. Here's Stanley once again. Stanley moves inside the key. Stanley puts up a shot. He cannot, but he's fouled. And the foul is going to go against Wilson, and I believe that might be his first foul of the game.
Stanley looking to drive here. He can shoot, but he can also finish at the rack, and I think they're going to need to draw a lot of fouls. Get the momentum back on their side and hopefully get Mount Hood into some foul trouble before the end of the second half.
So Stanley makes the first free throw. His free throw percentage on the year, Jake, what is Stanley's free throw percentage on the year?
Let's check here. On the season, he's shooting 72%, which is very solid, very, very solid.
Well, he made both of those and makes it a makes it a 4-point game. So here's Wilson. 41-37 in favor of the Saints. 18:50 to go here in this one. Fowler gets it across to Chen. Chen on that left wing. He's got Wilson, but he passes it out to Hampton. Hampton into Fowler. Fowler inside the lane. Fowler turns, spins, puts it up, and he put it in.
Really fundamental post work there from Fowler.
A lot of the hook shots we've seen here in the second half of Mount Hood, they're back up by 6. So here comes Pruitt. Pruitt gets it across now to Rose. Rose with a handoff to Stanley. Stanley back out top of the key, gets it back over to Pruitt. Pruitt around Chen, gets it across now to Rose, who puts up a 2 and puts it off no good, and the Fowler is the rebound, and Fowler passes it across to Chen. So here comes Chen. Chen gets it over to Vaughn. Vaughn gets it across to Fowler, back over to Vaughn. Vaughn with a handoff to Wilson. Wilson on the left side, now gets it back over to Hampton. Hampton on the left side moves to the inside. Gets across to Vaughn for 3. Off no good, and the rebound is going to be collected by Bernard. Bernard brings it up the floor very quickly, gets it over to Stanley. Stanley at the top of the circle, gets it over to Pruitt, back over to Bernard, back over now is Rose. Rose on that left side, moves inside, gets it back out. Stanley mishandled, but was able to get it back. And now we got a whistle, and we got a foul. And the foul's going to go against Hampton. And it's going to be Chemeketa ball. So it looks like it'll be Stanley to inbound it. Or no, sorry, that was Bernard. He inbounds it to Stanley. Gets it back over to Bernard, who gets it over to Rose. Rose now inside, gets a shot off, and it's off no good. And the rebound was collected by both Wilson and Fowler, but Fowler comes away with it. Back now comes Vaughn. Vaughn on that left side, crossing the timeline. Vaughn now moves inside the key. He's going to put up a shot, and he's going to put it in. Oh, my goodness. The last 2 shots from Mount Hood have been very contested, but they've got 4 earned points there, Jake.
8-point game now. Mount Hood taking over, but Stanley with a nice finish.
And Stanley responds to make it a 6-point game. Now here's Wilson on the left side. Wilson moves to the inside. Oh, he flicked it back. Here's a 3. And Hampton with a nice triple.
Did you like that, Jackson?
I did. That was a very nice 3 from Hampton to make the Saints go up by 9, making a 3-score game. Here's Rose now. Rose gets it to Bernard. Bernard inside the key, puts up a jumper, and he can't put it in, and Wilson collects the rebound. Wilson with a long pass over to Hampton. Hampton moves inside, step back, gets it back over to Wilson. Wilson with a long pass to Chen. Chen going to move around, gets to that right wing, gets it to Vaughn. Vaughn now gets it inside to Fowler. Fowler going to spin, float it up, and it's no good, but we got a foul.
That's the shot Fowler's been looking for, that jump hook right in the middle of the key. If you can get the ball there, they're going to have a lot of success.
Foul there was on Sladek. So now it'll be Fowler to shoot some free throws, and his percentage, Jake, we got his percentage.
Shoot. Fowler is shooting 40% on the season. That is well below average. But that doesn't mean he can make one of them.
Well, he missed that one, so not looking good so far. So it remains a 9-point Mount Hood lead, 48-39 with 16:18 to go. Now, second free throw on the way from Fowler to try to put the Saints up by 10. Making the first double-digit lead of the game, and he does. So now here comes Chemeketa. It's Stanley with the inbound pass, gets it from Bernard, and Bernard hustles to the other side. Gets it across now, and it's Pruitt. Pruitt now moves, gets it in now, Rose. Rose at the top of the key, gets it over to Bernard. Bernard moves to the inside. He's going to step back. He's going to float a jumper. He's going to put it off no good, and ball tipped it right back to Rose. Rose got the rebound over to Pruitt. Pruitt over to Ball, who puts up the shot. He gets fouled, but he can't put it in. So now the foul is going to be called on number 11, which is Fowler. And Jake, you know what's coming. It's a Fowler foul. So Ball will now shoot some free throws.
Ball also struggling from the line on the season, shooting 53%.
I don't want to offend anyone here, but Ball's free throw shooting technique is nothing like I've seen it before. He kind of puts his arm up in the air before he shoots it, and he's able to make one of two there.
He takes his guide hand off there, probably to try and shoot purely.
Well, the form on the second shot looked a lot more clean than the one on the first shot. The first one just looked whack, which is probably what the first one was missed. Now here's Vaughn. Vaughn gets it to Chin, top of the circle, back over to Vaughn on the left wing. Vaughn now runs. Now gets it over to Hampton. Hampton over to Fowler. Fowler looks, gets it across. Chen going to take a three with defense. He's going to miss it. And he was looking for a foul call there. He didn't get it. Now here comes Pruitt the other way. Pruitt gets a block from Ball, but it's not enough. Now here's Bernard. Bernard gets it to Ball. Ball motioning Bernard. Bernard going to take a jumper, and he's going to hit it from the free throw line. So now here comes Hampton the other way for the Saints as Chemeketa has made this a 7-point affair. 39-32, 15 minutes to go here in Gresham. Wilson gets the pass out from Hampton, who gets it back. Shanna three from the left side. Off the rim, no good. Fowler tried to tip the rebound, but he couldn't. As Ball collects and gets it to Pruitt, who gets it to Bernard. Bernard up. Bernard trying to take it himself. He's going to kick it back out to Stanley. Stanley holds on the left wing. Stanley is now going to move to the inside. He spins, gets it over to Rose. Rose gets it now to Pruitt. Pruitt with Chen guarding him, gets it back over to Bernard. Bernard has Hampton. He spins, floats another jumper, and he floated it in again. Another jumper from the free throw line. 4 straight from Chemeketa, and they're down by 5. So now here's Wilson. Looks like we're going to have some substitutions. So immediate timeout as the shot clock did not correct. So now we're going to get some substitutions from Mount Hood. Looks like Sorensen is going to come back into the game.
As well as Patrick Robinson subbing in.
Now they have to reset the shot clock. And now they get the shot clock corrected. It'll be at 27 with 14:22 remaining here in the second half. Mount Hood leading 49-44. So far in the second half, 3 fouls have gone against Mount Hood. 2 have gone against Chemeketa. It's been a tight second half. Remember, Jake, it was a 1-point halftime lead for the Saints. They now lead by 5. So they've outscored the Storm by 4 to take a 5-point lead.
Like I said, the key to the second half for the Saints was to keep the pressure and keep flustering Chemeketa on defense, and they have. Forcing a lot of turnovers and forcing a lot of bad shots for Chemeketa. The Saints are also converting their shots as well on the offensive end.
They had a couple of nice shots from both sides.
Absolutely. Wilson also with that flip pass to the corner, and that 3 really got us going earlier.
Yeah, that was a nice pass. I'd like to see that one on replay. So now out of the timeout, it will be Mount Hood ball. So we'll see what they can convert here on offense. Didn't get anything last time, but they've been more success than denied in the offensive zone so far in the second half, Jake.
Absolutely. I'm guessing Vaughn and Hampton will continue to bring the pressure here to finish the game, as well as Wilson.
Mount Hood looking for their 7th overall win. Still trying to make a playoff push. Again, after tonight, they have 6 games remaining, 4 of which are going to be here in Gresham. So big advantage to them starting a lot of their games on the road. But, 4 of their last 6 games are going to be here at home. So here's Sorensen. He gets it into Hampton. And now Hampton passes it back to Sorensen. He's got 2 blockers. Tip pass is going to be intercepted by Rose. Gets it to Bernard on the breakaway. He can't handle it, but Rose got it. Now is Bernard on the left side. Gets it back over to Stanley. Stanley back over to Bernard. Bernard long pass over to Rose. Rose going to take a 3, and it's off no good, and the rebound is to Wilson. 14 minutes to go. Wilson gets it to Hampton. Hampton now gets it across to Sorensen. Back over to Hampton. Over across now Wilson. Wilson going to take a contested three. And he hits it!
Wow.
Wilson had a defender on him, but he still hits the three, and Mount Hood leads by 7.
That was NBA range there.
So now Stanley passes it across now to Bernard, who gets it over to Ball. Ball now passes it outside. Here's Rose, a rebuttal three. It's off the iron, no good. Rebounded by Wilson. Wilson has 3 threes in this game as he passes it over to Robinson, who gets it back over to Wilson. Wilson waits, now motioning, yelling at his teammates, trying to get them to move to the outside. Here's Hampton once more. Hampton on the logo, gets it across to Wilson. Wilson's got 2 defenders. Pass out Sorensen. Sorensen going to take a contested three. That one's no good. It's tipped out, and it's Rose the rebound. Gets it across now to Stanley. Stanley on the left side. Stanley's got Bernard. Doesn't pass. He gets it to Rose. Rose gets it back across to Pruitt. Now here's Bernard. Bernard going to take a three, and it's off the iron, no good. Rebounded by Sorensen. So here comes Hampton now as he gets the pass from Sorensen. Hampton looking. Here's Wilson. Wilson's got 2 blocks. Wilson, a long floating pass to Sorensen, who makes the catch. And now here's Hampton. Hampton back over to Wilson. Back over comes Hampton. Hampton on the logo and waits. Gets a block from Fowler. Hampton takes a three, and it's off the iron. Robinson gets the rebound. He puts it back up and in. No good, but he's fouled, and he goes to the line. So the foul there is going to be called on Ball. 2 shots coming from Robinson, and Jake Robinson's free throw percentage is Robinson's free throw percentage.
Robinson is shooting 46% on the season, so also an inconsistent shooter.
This is what happens when I give my stat sheet to my analyst and he doesn't pay attention. So Robinson missed the first one. And now he still has the second one. Mount Hood still leads by 7, 52-45 with 12 and a half to go. Second free throw on its way is good. So now it is an 8-point lead, 53-45. Clock counting 12:27. So here's Stanley. Stanley now moves across. Stanley on the right wing. Now gets it across now to Sladek. Sladek gets it over to Bernard. Bernard gets it back over to Stanley. Gets it over to Sladek. Sladek now moves inside. Tries to put up a shot. And now a whistle. And we got a foul call.
Really
and
aggressive
the foul
there.
call going to be called on Sorensen.
Hey, right here, top.
So now it'll be an inbound for Chemeketa from underneath the basket.
Wow,
And
quick
now-
pass.
So now it will be it'll be Storm to handle the ball. Gets it back out Sladek. Sladek moves to the inside. Whistle. And they turn it over as he dribbles it out of play. Some pressure there from Mount Hood, Jake.
Yeah, Mount Hood playing good defense. All they need to do is run the clock and get into their set, and they should be able to pull this game out.
They have an 8-point lead with 12 minutes to go. See if they can at least hold on to this. Just use the clock to their advantage.
That's right. That's what they're doing right now. Looking for a good shot. Wilson.
How about that? Wilson, another three, make it 12. 4 3-pointers from Wilson tonight, and he's hot. So here comes Stanley. Stanley gets fouled.
Wow. That shot's not going to count, but he finished at the rim there.
So Hampton's going to be called for the foul. Another horn, and we got some substitution here. Looks like Vaughn is going to be coming in for Hampton. And Hampton, hopefully you didn't hear what he said. He said bad words, so hopefully our mics did not pick that up. It's a 4-letter word starting with S, ending with T, so hopefully he doesn't. Or we apologize if you heard that. So here's Stanley. And now we got a whistle and a charge. Stanley going to be charged with the foul as Vaughn fell over and Mount Hood going to retain possession.
Absolutely beautiful display of basketball here for Mount Hood. They're playing really hard on defense, and that's paying off for them on the offensive end as well because it's wearing down the Chemeketa team.
So here's Wilson. He will bring it up the floor as you might have heard Coach say he wanted Will to bring it up the floor. Wilson at the logo, gets it across to Sorensen. Sorensen back over to Vaughn, gets it over to Wilson. Wilson now gets it across, and now Barber. Long pass out to Vaughn. Vaughn inside the lane, puts it up, and a foul, and he put it in!
Wow! Chemeketa is in a zone defense, and he was still able to break that and drive in and get the and one.
Cameron Vaughn with a deuce and a chance for a 3-point play. I was so excited I missed the call on who the foul was on, but it will send Vaughn to the line. And I mean, Vaughn's free throw percentage
is shooting 64%, as we said earlier, just a very average shooter from
and
the free
he
throw
will
line.
not convert the 3-point play, but Mount Hood's still up by 13. 58-45, 11 minutes to go here in the final game on this Wednesday night. Here comes Stanley. Stanley gets it over to Rose. Rose now at the free throw line, gets it back over to Pruitt. Pruitt looks for a lane, spins inside it with a fake pass, gets it back to Bernard. Bernard top of the key, floats a jumper free throw line, and that one's off no good. Rebounded by Pat Robinson, and he was able to handle that one. So it gets it to Vaughn. Here's Wilson. Wilson inside the lane, gets it across. Sorensen, a three, left side, off no good, and it's going to be out of bounds, and Chemeketa is going to get possession.
They're getting the looks they want here on offense for the Saints. Sorensen just not having his night from downtown.
So Stanley got it into Bernard, who gets it over to Stanley, who brings it across the midcourt line. Stanley now looks for somebody to pass to, motioning, and now getting across to that left side. He's got Bernard, but he floats it across now to Sladek. Sladek underneath the rim, got two defenders, gets it across Rose, over to Pruitt. Pruitt inside the lane, gets it back out. Here's a left corner three from Bernard. It's off no good and rebounded by Barber, but he lost it, and it's going to be inbounded, and it's intercepted by Barber and almost tipped off Wilson. Chemeketa ball.
Wow.
They tried to retain the control after they stole it. They just couldn't, Jake, and Chemeketa is going to have another chance.
A bit of a sloppy recovery there from the Saints, and Chemeketa capitalized on their mistake.
So Will Wilson checks out. And it looks like we have Hampton was coming in for him.
That signature guard duo of Hampton and Vaughn.
So it'll be Pruitt to inbound it from the near side, just right of the scorer's table. And he will float it in now to Rose. And Rose underneath puts up the shot, and it's up, around and out, rebounded by Sorensen, who gets it to Hampton. Hampton across to Vaughn. Vaughn's got a path to the lane, puts it up, no good. No foul call, and now we got a foul on Mount Hood. So now we have another media timeout. 9:52 to go here in the second half. It's 58-45 in favor of the Saints.
I am loving what I'm seeing here from Mount Hood. It's just great. All season long they've struggled, but they're closing out this game really strong, and I really hope that they don't choke here at the end of this game.
They've been able to build their 1-point lead up to 13, so hopefully they can hold on to this, get their 7th win of the season, and they're just about they're actually more of 3/4 of the way there.
So Chemeketa noticeably changed to a zone defense there, and they're looking to trap in the corners to try and force a turnover. And it was pretty impressive there when I believe Vaughn drove to the basket and drew the foul, because zones are usually to try and keep the offense from driving and force them to shoot threes. And Vaughn was able to break that zone and still get the basket.
So out of the timeout now, Chemeketa will have possession. They'll inbound it from that left side on the far end. Just under halfway through, or just over halfway through, under half the fourth quarter, or second half to go. I'm still in the format of the women's game where it's 4 quarters and not 2 halves.
You know, I'm looking over at the women's basketball team on the in the stands right now, and they're eating some Taco Bell. It's looking pretty good. Jackson, we might have to stop and get some after this.
You know, Jake, there's a big fat. There's no food or drink in the gym. So right now, that's rule number 1 they're breaking.
Well, let's not throw the team under the bus, Jackson.
But you know what? The team and the assistant coach can do whatever they want. So
that's right.
They're all over there eating Taco Bell, and nothing from Taco Bell is good except the cinnamon twist. So if they have some cinnamon twist, I'm going over there and I'm taking them.
They might need to save some for us.
Don't forget, Jake, we have a long night ahead of us. So don't be needing to go inside the bathroom. Taco Bell will make you do that. I have a sister for proof.
Wow. Wow. I hope I won't have to do that tonight.
You know, this timeout has taken so long. We've just decided to go to a Taco Bell discussion.
Yeah, well, sometimes you need to take your mind off the game.
You know, I have another name for Taco Bell, but I shouldn't say it on air.
Yeah,
So
you certainly shouldn't. You certainly shouldn't.
if you follow my Instagram page at HamPDX, maybe I'll post it there. You can also find highlights and clips, usually after the games. Definitely Conard's 8 3-pointers she had in the first game. They're checking the scoreboard, so actually there might be an issue with the scoreboard. But anyway, what I was saying is you can check out my Instagram page at HamPDX, which is HAM_PDX, for highlights from both these games. I do sync the commentary from our feed with me and Jake and the huddle feed from Mount Hood, and we're definitely going to have all 8 of Conard's 3-pointers. It might take me a while to find them and pair them up, but we will definitely have those up for you because that was one heck of a performance from Journey Conard in the women's game. Unfortunately, it did not pan out in their way as they fell by just 6 points in our first match of the night. So now we're going to get a correction on the scoreboard. So it's going to be a 14-point Mount Hood lead, 58-44. And I think they might have taken away a point from Chemeketa after maybe a 3-pointer was actually deemed a 2-pointer. I'm not quite sure. I didn't pay attention that much to the officials' discussion with our scoreboard operator, but it looks like we are going to get back into gameplay. Chemeketa will inbound. It will be Pruitt to get it into Rose, and now Rose will get it back over to Stanley. Stanley crosses the timeline. Stanley over to the right side. Back over now with Bernard. Bernard gets it back over to Stanley on that right side. Stanley looking. He gets it over. And now that pass is tipped, and we have a foul. A reach-in foul is going to be called against Pat Robinson. And now we're going to have another Chemeketa free throw, and it's going to be Sladek to attempt the free throws. And it looks like Sladek is a 75% free throw shooter on the season. I believe that this is his first trip to the line tonight. First one is up, and it is good to make this a 13-point game with just over 9.5 minutes to go. Still has a second one on the way. We'll see if Mount Hood can preserve this lead and pick up a win tonight against a Chemeketa team that comes behind them in the rankings, just one loss ahead. And now that pass is going to be intercepted. Here's Sladek at the top of the key. Back over is Rose. Rose to the inside, gets it back out. Now Bernard. Bernard with a floater jumper. It's good. Make that 4 straight points from Chemeketa, and it's 58-47. So now here comes Hampton. Hampton gets to the inside, gets it back over to Sorensen. Pass tipped. It's saved by Vaughn. Vaughn gets it back over to Fowler. Fowler gets it over to Hampton. Hampton at the top of the circle. Gets it over to Robinson. Robinson puts up the 2, and he put it in.
Nice shot from Robinson, getting into the paint aggressively.
Absolutely nothing was going to stop him from putting in that double. And now here's Stanley on the other end. Stanley gets it across now, and it is going to be Sladek. Sladek lost handle, but he gets it back, almost tipped away from Robinson. Now it's Stanley. Stanley gets it across now. Here is Pruitt. Pruitt now over to Bernard. Bernard going to take a 3, and it's off the rim, no good. Rebounded, and it's going to be saved by Mount Hood. Almost went out of bounds. And now here comes Cameron Vaughn. Gets it over to Sorensen. Sorensen over to Robinson. Robinson gets it back over to Sorensen. Sorensen now over to Vaughn. Vaughn moves to the inside, and now we're going to get a charge.
They're going to call the block.
They're going to get the foul on Pruitt, so count the bucket and 1. And it's going to be Vaughn at the free throw line.
Vaughn again shooting only 65%. I mean, it's all right for a college player, but no guarantees here.
We'll see if he can convert the 3-point play as the free throw is up, and it is good. So Mount Hood is up by 16 with just over 8 minutes remaining. So here comes Stanley. Stanley gets it across now, and here is Sladek. Sladek gets it over to Rose. Rose now gets it back over to Stanley. Stanley dribbles inside the key. Now backs up top of the key. Gets it across now. Sladek on the right side. Deep jumper. Off no good. Rebounded by Hampton. Quickly the Saints move up the floor. Here's Hampton. Back pass. Gets it over to Chen for three. He got it. William Chen with a three.
Chen, not having gotten the chance this season to really show his three-point shooting, but
And
taking
now
advantage
Chen
of that.
intercepts the pass.
Great couple of plays there for him.
So now here's Chen. Chen on the left wing gets it over to Wilson. Wilson gets it back to Hampton. Mount Hood leads it by 19. Gets it back now is Hampton. Hampton on the left side looking for a lane. Now gets inside, floats it over to Chen. Chen gets it across now. Here is Vaughn. Floats it over to Chen. Chen gets it across now. Here is Vaughn. Gets it back over to Wilson, who's going to be charged with a foul. And Wilson, he makes every shot after the whistle, but unfortunately it doesn't matter. It's good practice, though.
He's going to keep shooting that, and he's been making them all night.
So Pruitt will inbound it from right in front of us, just to the left of my face. And he will get it into Stanley. And now Stanley crosses the timeline. Coach Will clapping his team, playing aggressive defense with 7 minutes to go and a 66-47 lead. So now Rose holds it. Rose gets it across now is Pruitt. Pruitt now inside, and now puts up the two, and he put it in.
Wow.
What a shot.
A finger roll layup there for Pruitt.
So now Wilson will inbound it to Hampton. Hampton now crosses the timeline. Hampton looking, and now he has a block. Hampton moves over to the left side. Now he's going to look to pass. Can't find a passing lane just yet. Spins and jukes. Gets a block from Wilson. Hampton, fake shot. Pass over to Vaughn. Vaughn, left wing three. No good, and the rebound is going to go to Stanley. Stanley going to take it up the floor. Here's Stanley at the top. He's going to take it to the inside. Stanley going to float a jumper. He's going to not make it, and the rebound is to Fowler. I apologize for my grammar just there. Here's Wilson. Wilson, he's going to take a three, and why not hit it?
He's hot tonight, folks.
He makes the shots after the whistle, and you know what? He'll make the shots in game two. So now here comes Pruitt, gets it over to Bernard. Bernard on the right wing, gets it over to Ball. Ball at the free throw line, looking for a pass. Now back over to Pruitt. Pruitt inside free throw line, no good. Rebounded Wilson, and he collects. Mount Hood leads it by 20, 69-49 with 5:50 to go. Here's a three from Fowler, off the iron, and rebounded by Pruitt. Pruitt crosses the timeline and now gets it across, looking for someone to pass to. He gets it to Stanley. I'm sorry, that is Bernard. The hair was covering up the one. Here's Ball. Ball now gets it across. Ball inside to Pruitt, puts up the two, and he puts it off no good, but a foul is called. Don't count the second bucket from Ball. And now it's going to be a shot. And now the foul there is going to be called on Chen. And now it'll be Pruitt at the line. And let's check his free throw percentage, Shake.
Pruitt is shooting, 75% on the season, so pretty good. But can't.
That one is in and out. So I missed the first.
Good form, but couldn't get it to go.
So now we still got one more. Saints up by 20 with 5.5 to go.
Rim runner, right here. Rim runner.
So here's the second. It's on the way, and it's good. So now here comes Wilson. Wilson gets it across. Back over Hampton from Stevens. Chen takes a three. Off the iron, no good, and rebounded by Ball. Gets it over to Stanley. Stanley crosses the court. Gets it across now. Pruitt over to Stanley. Three on the right side, or on the left side. No good. Rebounded to Stevens. Stevens had a blocker, but now he gets it across now to Wilson right as he crossed the midcourt line. Wilson talking to his coach. Gets it back over to Stevens. Stevens now holds. Looking, gets it over to Hampton. Hampton thought about taking the three, did not. Gets it to Fowler. Fowler at the top of the key. Gets it over to Stevens. Stevens over to Hampton. Hampton fake the three, gets it to Fowler. Fowler inside, puts it up, and he put it in.
Wow, that's exactly where Fowler wants to get, right there on the block.
He's been favoring that position all night, Jake, and he finally converts. So here is Ball. Ball will get it across now to Stanley. Stanley over to Bernard, gets it back over to Rose. Rose back over to Bernard, back over to Stanley. Substitution time for Mount Hood as it looks like Sorensen's going to come back into the game as that shot from Ball is put up and in. So now here comes Wilson. Wilson crosses the timeline. Now looks. holding, motioning and talking to his team. Gets it to Fowler. Fowler, top of the key, gets it to Stevens. Stevens on the right wing, looking for someone to pass to. Has an overhead look, gets it to Chen. Chen back to Stevens. Stevens inside to Fowler. Fowler, he's going to go with a shot again, and no good as it rolled off the rim. Now here comes Bernard. Bernard at the top of the key. Bumps into his own teammate, almost lost the ball, but he's able to rehandle it. Now is Pruitt. Gets it back over to Stanley. Stanley backs up. 19 to shoot. Gets over to Ball. Quick tip over to Pruitt. He slipped, but he gets it to Ball. Ball gets it back over. Here's a pass out. Here's a three from Rose. It's good. And now a timeout's going to be called by Chemeketa. And with 3:35 to go, a 71-55 lead for the Saints. So now a full extended media timeout with just over 3.5 minutes to go. And Jake, with a 16-point lead, looks like the Saints are going to be able to hold on to this one, hopefully.
I hope so. Winning 3 of their last 5 games, all by 3 points. This would be their first blowout victory of the season, I believe.
I don't know what you consider a blowout, but even if it's more than 3, is it still technically considered a blowout? I consider a blowout like 20 to 30.
Well, they were just up 21, so I would expect if they can hold around 16 to 21, I would consider that a blowout victory.
So now in the timeout, let's get Jake Rowe's current thoughts on the second half. We've had a lot of great threes by both Wilson and Chen.
Yeah, the Saints have been overly efficient in the second half, and Chemeketa is just turning the ball over, and again, very flustered by the defense of the Saints.
But you could also say they're only down 16. There's still 3.5 minutes to go.
Sure, there's always that chance. 16 points, and they've got just under 4 minutes to go. They've got a shot.
When it comes to basketball is one of the sports. It's probably the sport that has the most wild comebacks.
Absolutely. My high school coach always said basketball is a game of runs, so you can't be discouraged when the other team gets on a run because your run is coming.
Now, if they were up by 16 and this was football, this game would probably be over. But now basketball is a whole different thing because you keep changing possessions instead of having 4 downs like football. So we have yet another media timeout. We only had time they only ran 1 second off the clock. It's out of bounds, so I believe Mount Hood will get possession once again out of the timeout. And nothing has changed except for 3:35 remaining in the game has become 3:34.
What are the media timeouts for, Jackson?
I don't exactly know because I don't think anything's going to commercial. Unless there is the NWAC Sports Network, but I don't know if that has these games. I don't exactly know. So
Well,
that'd be a question for
the referees.
that'd be a question for people down the scores table. We're just here to bring you the game, and we're glad to bring it to you, aren't we, Jake?
Absolutely. I'm having a blast tonight. This is quite the game for Mount Hood.
Jake, you must have had so much fun at the first game last Wednesday that you decided to come back for a second week.
Absolutely. Last game, both teams scoring over 100 points. That's quite incredible.
Got a little bit of a dilemma, though, for the Saints' next game going to be played here on Sunday. Not sure if I'm going to have Mr. Jake Rowe here with me, as Sunday is also another big game in the National Football League, so he might be out to watch that. So I'll have to see if I can get another analyst. Otherwise, I might be running the show solo, and
Well,
we'll see what happens.
hopefully I'll get to join you, but you can never tell on those
You cannot say it.
Sundays, Super Sundays.
Yep. Don't get sued by the NFL. So here's Wilson. Wilson on the right side gets it to Barber for 3. Off the iron, Sorensen tips it back. He almost tipped it in. And the rebound is to Stanley. We got a whistle, and we got a foul on Sorensen. No, I'm sorry. The foul's on Barber. So the referee signaled 2. So that must mean it's a 2-shot foul. And then he signaled 15, which means the foul is on Barber. Only 2 games in, still got a lot to learn. But I enjoy doing this.
Absolutely. You're sounding much better, even just the second broadcast.
First free throw was no good. And Stanley, free throw percentage, Jake?
Stanley's shooting a solid 72% overall and 74.5 in the conference play.
Well, he missed that first one, so now here's the second one, and that one is good. So it pulls Chemeketa back to within 15 with just over 3 minutes to go, and now Hampton gets it over to Wilson. Wilson now gets it back over to Hampton, crosses the timeline, behind the back pass to Vaughn. Back now comes Hampton. Hampton inside the key, gonna fake. Here's Vaughn. Oh, he was wide open for a three. Didn't take it. Vaughn spins, puts up the shot over to Sorensen, who finishes.
Probably the flashiest play and pass we've seen all night.
Wow, that was a well-designed play there. Here's Stanley. Gets it to Ball. Ball turns. Ball gets it. Now is Rose. Rose moves to the inside, puts up a two, and puts it off no good. Rebounded is going to be collected, and it's going to be in the hands of Wilson, and he gets it over to Vaughn. Vaughn now crosses the timeline. On the right side, gets it across now Hampton. Hampton moves, gets inside, gonna float it. Here's Sorensen, a three. Off the iron and out of play. Oh, it was touched, but it didn't go out of bounds. And now here's Bernard. Bernard will bring it up the floor. Here comes Stanley over to Ball. Ball gonna put up a two. No, he's not. And that one's gonna be collected back. Here's Bernard on the right side. Bernard looking for a passing lane, gets it now to Rose. Rose gonna spin, he's gonna put up a deuce, and he's gonna put it in. Here's Wilson now, quick inbound to Hampton, who gets it back over to Wilson, back over to Hampton. Crossing a timeline, long pass out to Vaughn. Vaughn going to take a three. Off the iron, rebounded by Rose. So now here comes Bernard back up. 107 seconds to go, and that one is going to be a whistle, and we got a foul call. It's a two-shot foul. So the foul is going to be called on Hampton. Coach Lewell going to take a timeout just before Bernard shoots the free throws. And Jake, let's check in on Bernard's free throw ability.
Bernard shooting 65% as well, 75% in conference play. So very solid. Good chance of making both.
So just 1:46 remaining. It's 73-58 in favor of the Saints, looking to get their fourth win in 6 games.
They would be really hot if they could get this win. And I'm not sure if their playoff chances are still alive, but they are playing well in conference play.
What's important for the Saints, Jake, is that they have 6 remaining games after tonight, 4 of which are going to be played here. It's 4 straight, but then they end the season with 2 road games. They end at Clackamas and then at Lane, 2 tough opponents. And we saw that Clackamas team last week.
You know, that Clackamas team is one of the best in the league.
They also were able to beat Lane in their home opener back on January 21st. So definitely Lane is going to be looking for a little bit of revenge in that final game. First free throw on the way is good from Bernard. And like Jake said, what did you say, 77%?
Bernard is shooting 74%.
74%. He made the first. So puts the Storm back to within 13 now with both free throws made. Here's Wilson. Gets it across now to Vaughn. Vaughn now gets it across over to Robinson. Robinson inside gets it to Carlson, who is traveled. He traveled. And Chemeketa gets the rebound with 97 seconds to go.
Nice pass there, but got a little bit ahead of himself under the basket there for Carson.
So now Pruitt will inbound it to Stanley. Stanley is going to move it, and he's going to take a three. Oh, my goodness. Stanley just decided to take it himself, and timeout Chemeketa. It's a 10-point game, 73-63, with 92 seconds remaining.
That was a big three from Stanley. Stanley, a 20-point scorer a night. He averages 6 rebounds as well as 3 assists. He's a very similar player to Wilson. He's just a lot more undersized.
So the Saints are going to get the ball with 92 seconds to go. They're up by 10. Jake, when do you expect we start maybe seeing some fouls?
Well, I don't expect to see them quite yet. I do expect to see a lot of pressure. And I don't expect to see him quite yet. I do expect to see a lot of pressure. And I'm guessing Mount Hood's going to want to try and wait till the end of the clock to get a shot. Only about 3 full possessions left here with 1:30 left. So each shot clock possession is at 30 seconds. If Saints can really run the clock down, they could increase their chances of winning by a lot.
And the Saints definitely going to try to use the clock as their friend, as that one was a mishandled pass, but it was able to be collected by Wilson, who floats it over to Vaughn. Vaughn gets it across. It's intercepted, and now we got a whistle and a foul, and it's going to be Chemeketa ball.
Mount Hood feeling the pressure of this lead. You know, they're not used to holding a lead in such a late game here.
So Vaughn gets called for the foul. It sends Stanley to the line.
2 free throws made here would make it an 8-point game, bringing it to just a 3-possession ball game.
So according to Coach Lewell, he still has 2 30-second timeouts remaining. First free throw from Stanley is good. 9-point game, 73-64, 82 seconds remaining. Second free throw on its way. This will make it a 8-point game. It's no good. Rebounded to Hampton. Gets it across now to Vaughn. Vaughn now with pressure. Still hasn't crossed the timeline. Now he has. Gets it across to Wilson. Wilson going to put it up. Wilson is fouled.
Wilson trying to find his way to the paint for an easy shot and gets the foul.
So the foul is going to be called on Chaz Storm, and it'll send Will Wilson to the line for some free throws. And Will Wilson, who leads the league in scoring, his free throw percentage.
87% on the season.
Well, he made the first, and that one was a little bit pressure because it looked like it might have bounced out, but the rim doing him some favors there.
Soft rims here.
Second free throw on the way for Wilson, and he got both. So the Saints back up by 11, 75-64, 70 seconds to go. Here's Stanley, gets it across now. Pruitt over to Bernard for 3. Off the iron, no. Wilson the rebound. And a long pass, a breakaway for Vaughn. Who's going to lay it in?
A nice breakaway layup. Probably the nail in the coffin here.
Blocked. Such a force towards the backboard that it actually caused the backboard to shake. Intercepted. Here's Fowler over to Hampton, who puts it in. 4 straight points from the Saints. They lead by 15 with 45 and counting. Here's Bernard. The fans here in Gresham can feel it as Stanley gets fouled and puts in the shot.
72% on the season. He's made a lot of free throws tonight. Let's see if he can make this.
So a chance for a 3-point play from Stanley, but Mount Hood got the last 4. Very aggressive from the Saints side.
Forcing turnovers and taking advantage.
Free throw, no good. It's collected by Fowler. Fowler gets it across. Now is Vaughn. 37 seconds. Here's Fowler. And now Wilson. Wilson might have got fouled there. He did not. And now a tip pass is going to be caught by Hampton. Hampton moves. 16 to shoot. Shot clock and game clock are about 10 seconds apart. Here's Hampton now. Hampton, almost picked off. Hampton's got to do something. He passes it to Fowler. Gets it back over to Hampton. 6 to shoot. Hampton to the inside. Hampton going to get fouled.
This game looks all but over now. Just running the clock out.
Hampton going to get fouled.
This game looks all but over now. Just running the clock out. No more shot clock.
Foul called on Rose. And Jake, I think maybe Chemeketa kind of wasted their opportunity waiting that late a foul.
Yeah, I think they saw the 13-point lead and decided to hang them up and wait till next game.
Hampton is on the floor.
Hampton trying to tie his shoe.
He was fouled so hard that his shoe became untied.
Yeah, taking the opportunity to take a break here with 14 seconds left.
Free timeout right there. So now Hampton at the line. 14 seconds remaining. Saints by 13. Looks like they're going to get their 7th win and split the series against Chemeketa as the first free throw is off and no good. Now substitution time for the Saints as it looks like Vaughn is going to be coming out of the game, and it looks like Barber is going to be taking his place as the second free throw on the way from Hampton is good as it bounced off that left side of the rim. And now here is Chemeketa. They're going to take it up the floor. Here's Rose. Rose going to get it across. Here's a 3 from Storm. It's no good. Rebounded. And that is going to do it. The Saints are going to dribble this one out. They're going to win this one 80-66. It's win number 7. And they will split the series. And Wilson again just taking shots and putting them down.
He did that one for the fans there. The
That
crowd
one-
going wild.
That one was definitely after the shot clock had expired. But again, that was kind of like the shot we saw last week.
Absolutely. This
Nobody-
time with a win.
Nobody was guarding him. So it's a 14-point Saints win. They win it 80-66. Again, they split the series. They got pounded 82-62 the last time these two teams played. So
Mount Hood looking like a team that early on was. Next week they're playing who, Jackson?
so on Sunday, they will get the Lakers from Southwest Oregon. It is actually a makeup game that was supposed to be played on January the 7th. Actually, it was played on January 7th, but it was played down in Coos Bay. So this one is actually scheduled to be here on Sunday. So that should be an interesting game. Lakers currently playing Lane, and we can go ahead and check the scores from around the league. Is next up for Chemeketa. Chemeketa is going to have Lane coming up next.
And so this coming Sunday, you said, is Mount Hood playing Southwest Oregon. Chemeketa's last opponent was Southwest Oregon, and they lost by 2. So Mount Hood hoping to capitalize on that win tonight. Very positive stuff for them.
So both teams on Sunday are going to be coming off a win, an 80-66 win for the Saints, and it looks like the Lakers from Southwest Oregon got a 90-85 win against the Lane Titans.
It's going to be a close one. The game was very competitive tonight between Chemeketa and Mount Hood, and Chemeketa and Southwest Oregon were very competitive in their last matchup. So I would expect to see a very good game coming here.
So that game on Saturday between Lane and Chemeketa, both teams going to be coming off a loss. One of those teams is going to be hungry for a win, and both those teams are going to be hungry for a win, but only one of them can come out victorious.
Absolutely. We'll be cheering for our Saints, of course.
So Sunday marks another home game on Super Sunday. I don't know who my analyst will be, but hopefully we'll figure something out. As for the remaining schedule for the Saints, now that tonight is done, they have 6 games remaining, 4 of which are going to be here at home starting on Sunday against the Lakers. Then they have a game next Wednesday against Clark, and then they don't play that weekend. So then their next game will be that following 22nd. And Jay, I know you're looking forward to that game because that's where you're taking classes. They're going to be taking
Absolutely.
on the BCC Panthers.
That's a big game for me. I can't wait to watch and see how my team performs.
So I would expect that you're going to be joining me for that one.
I surely will.
And then they end the homestand against Umpqua on the 25th, and then they end the season with 2 road games at Clackamas on March 1st, and then they end the season on March 4th against Lane. Well, that's going to do it. It was a lot of fun. Thank you, Jake, for joining me tonight, and it was a blast.
Absolutely. I'll see you next time.
Once again, the final score, 80-66. The Saints get the win. They improve to 7-13. And it looks like my power got cut. My feed got cut, I think, or something. I think they just shut off the power here. Well, if you can't hear me, that's going to end the stream. So bye, everybody.